Getting to grandma's house for Christmas may be more difficult this year due to COVID-19. Airlines around the world have canceled more than 2,000 Christmas Eve flights. More than 400 of those are in the U.S. Major carriers, including Delta and United, say they have staffing shortages because of the Omicron variant. TSA screened more than 2 million people on yesterday, the highest figure since holiday travel started a week ago. And President Biden is joining the United Kingdom in lifting the travel ban imposed on 8 South African countries. According to a White House official, the restrictions will be lifted early New Year's Day. The United States and a number of other nations banned travel from some countries in southern Africa after South Africa announced the existence of the Omicron coronavirus variant. The move received a lot of pushback then, and it's come under new scrutiny as the Omicron variant becomes predominant in the United States. And let's bring in one of our go-to experts to talk about latest COVID concerns and developments. Dr. Christopher Colbert is Assistant Program Director of the Emergency Medicine Residence at the University of Illinois. He joins me from Chicago. Welcome back to BNC Live, Dr. Colbert. Let's talk about this latest antiviral pill that was authorized by the FDA. There's Merck's, there's also Pfizer's. What do both of these mean for the battle against COVID-19?
So I am cautiously optimistic with the tablet offered by both Moderna and with Pfizer, specifically with what it offers. Now, mind you, there's a lot that goes with this tablet. Ideally, the tablet is designed for those individuals who have symptoms and test positives to significantly mitigate the really bad symptoms that are associated with COVID-19. Now, mind you, there's a specific window of time in which, specifically with the Pfizer tablet, that the efficacy works, and that's within 5 days. So there's a lot that we can do with this information. Now, mind you, it's FDA approved, the one that's from Pfizer. However, we have to identify how this pill will be distributed, if testing will be also accessible as well, and also how the distribution of this will be maintained. But again, this is another way in which we can address this horrible virus.
And when we talk about addressing the virus, the best protection from having to even need to use one of these pills is, of course, vaccination rates, or getting the vaccine and getting boosted. What are you seeing in hospitals right now, though, given the surge of the Omicron variant? What we're hearing is that it's largely unvaccinated people who need hospitalization.
So that is a great point you've made, and you are spot on, 100%. Between 98 and 95% of those individuals admitted to the hospitals across the United States, not just Chicago, it's those individuals who are unvaccinated. And so my conversation to those individuals is that it's never too soon to receive your vaccine, and it's never too late to receive the booster as well. Realistically, the vaccines work. And having this conversation in reference to those individuals who do not choose to get the vaccine, my recommendation is to have a conversation with your primary care physician or with your family member and understand the shared responsibility that we all have in addressing and mitigating the response of this horrible, horrible virus.
I appreciate that you are still trying to that effort at one-on-one persuasion, because the challenge we're facing, of course, is that the unvaccinated populations are the ones that give rise to these new variants. But as we're looking at holiday travel in this pandemic, another year in which we have to take precautions, we are seeing that commercial flights are being canceled because Omicron has left airlines short-staffed. So what is Mother Nature telling us about traveling, about what the coronavirus means right now in society?
So, and that's a fair question. And for my role as a physician, I have to be realistic when I communicate with patients. Our job as a physician is to communicate and to provide information so that our patients make informed decisions. So just as was communicated earlier, if you're going to travel, my recommendation is to utilize the N95 mask and advance what we usually use with the blue mask, just because of Omicron. If you're going to travel, step up your protection by utilizing a N95 mask. It significantly decreases the possibility of transmission of the virus and for you to receive the virus as well. That's number one. Number two, you can still enjoy your family over this holiday season for those that are vaccinated, specifically in small groups. And we define small groups as no more than 10 people and no more than 2 households. And that's a very common question asked is
Mhm.
how do we define small groups within this holiday setting? And it's 10 people and no more than 2 households. And just utilizing these small suggestions will significantly decrease those individuals who present to the hospital and admitted to the hospital as well.
All right, right. We are individually trying to stop ourselves from being in the hospital, hence getting vaccinated. But it's also, as a community, making sure hospitals aren't overwhelmed or still able to serve other emergencies other than coronavirus patients. But one of the recommendations that we've received in how to protect ourselves this holiday season is to test. It is nearly impossible to get tests in major cities. Lines around the corner at this point. Home rapid tests are still hard to come by. So is the Biden administration announcing that they are going to deliver tests? Is that the path forward, right? Is this the new normal we're looking at? Is that the federal government just going to send us some tests at home and that's what we'll use to go about our days?
There's a lot to unpack with testing resources and availability because the tests are available, but the demand is just too high for what is available. In fact, you can go to certain places that are selling the test and they limit the individuals that can have it as well. So there's a relationship between the supply and the demand that is still in conversation. It's going to be a tough go for Biden to really accommodate everyone's wishes. And that's just being realistic. The demand is extremely high, and we are having a conversation of requesting and suggesting for people to take the test without truly having the resources to distribute the test the way we're recommending it. So,
Hmm.
my recommendation is that we all just understand that this is a dynamic process and to
Hmm.
err on the side of caution, use policies to protect yourself, but also be mindful that everyone is working very hard to decrease the spread of this specific virus as well as to remain safe.
Well, I'm going to toss out a phrase here that I learned from an emergency response planner that we are now entering this phase of adaptive normal, where a lot of this is going to be normal. We're just going to have to adapt to this coronavirus reality as we're heading into year 2. Dr. Christopher Colbert, thank you for joining us tonight.